Now I know Rucking gives you images of some tactical military cosplayer who's working out while listening to the Jocko Willing podcast, but bear with me. Doing walks with a sufficiently heavy weighted pack solves an absolute shit ton of problems, and I've had some experience with it recently that I would like to share with you guys. On the joint recovery front, it's way easier than running. It's been estimated that running can have you experience up to 8 times your body weight with each hard step, whereas walking you only experience about 3. So even if you take the added weight of the ruck and factor it in, it's still easier on your joints. Also, getting a sufficient amount of calorie expenditure from a workout usually takes a lot of effort. It's not just something casually that you do. It's another hard bout of focused effort, and it can be really daunting if you're wrecked from your most recent workout or just life. Whether it's an early morning cardio session or at the end of the day after I've already got the heavy lifting in, I find it to be much less of a challenge to convince myself to put on the pack and go walking. It takes as much mental grit as preparing to walk around the mall. This is also a really good way to solve the problem of it being boring, monotonous work where you're just uncomfortable and isolated and you're not talking because you're too busy breathing. If you get outside, enjoy some sunshine, you're going to feel better. You're going to be better. You're going to look forward to it. And working in this office all day, I actually look forward to getting outside and going on those long walks. And walking and other hiking type activities are actually really easy to guilt other people into doing with you so that you have somebody to talk to make it go by faster. You can find walking groups, hiking groups, getting out, going into the forest. All you do is bring a backpack and go, and you'll be surprised how much you look forward to clipping off those steps. Now all that's well and good, but here is the big one. It looks like rucking just burns an absolute shit ton of calories. Walking is broadly estimated to burn an extra 100 calories per hour compared to sitting still. The best I can look forward to, even with my increased body mass, is a few extra 100 calories, which will take about 2 weeks to add up to a pound of body fat loss. But if I throw on a weighted backpack and do the exact same walk the exact same way, I can potentially double or triple my caloric burn on the exact same trail, moving the exact same pace. So let's crunch some numbers. Exactly how many calories do you burn throwing a pack on and going for it compared to anything else you could do? At 250 pounds, I burn somewhere around 120 calories doing absolutely nothing for an hour. I plugged my numbers into several different calorie calculators for walking, running, and rucking, and these were the results. At a brisk walk covering 4 miles in an hour, I'll burn somewhere between 550 and 600 calories. Numbers range from 622 to 530. So just walking for an hour burns 400 to 450 calories more than if I was just sitting on my ass. Now, if I take this up to a light run at 6 miles per hour, covering the same 4 miles in 40 minutes, I burn around 750 calories, which means I'm now up to 630 calories more than doing nothing, and it took me 20 minutes less. Now, here's where it gets interesting. According to Rucking calorie calculators, walking on a flat surface, I burn around 950 calories to cover the same 4 miles that only burned 600 when I was carrying nothing. That's close to 1,000 calories burned just carrying a weighted sack at a brisk walk. Now, if I increase this to an incline, that number jumps to over 1,200 calories. Now, this Instagram post from Michael Easter, who admittedly does have an incentive to upsell the benefits of rucking, does a breakdown at different body weights on different trails with different weights. And this is pretty consistent with what I found from the calculators. 220 pounds on a flat trail with 20 pounds, burning 725 calories. 809 calories with a 50-pound ruck, and then it continues to jump on a hilly trail. He says in the post, one new study put it this way: current predictive equations underestimate the metabolic cost of load carriage by military personnel over complex terrain. That's nerd speak for this shit burns way more calories than we thought. Image 6 is based on data from a recent study. Over 12 days, a group of backcountry hunters lost a lot of fat, preserved muscle, and saw fitness and health markers rise. Talking to Jason McCarthy, he replied, based on how voracious I am after a long, heavy ruck, I think it burns more than what many studies say. After long rucks and special forces training, I would sit down with a jar of peanut butter and eat a third of it. Then I'd pour M&Ms and granola in the jar, mix it, and finish the entire thing. I'd still lose weight. Now keep in mind this is also for rucking with a backpack. The game changes entirely when the weight is to the front. I stumbled upon this accidentally. My son Theo was born in January, and let's just say he's a big baby. So when Laura got me this neat carrier from Tactical Dad, I decided to replace our leisurely walks with a stroller with some bonding time. Hey, we'll walk together. We'll get some one-on-one time. It'll be great. Now, the result of me carrying my 22-pound baby boy the lap around my neighborhood was a lot of sweat and a humbling amount of fatigue. After that walk, I was actually pretty wrecked, and I thought, this kid ain't getting any lighter, and decided that I actually had to train for the training. So one day when Laura was out with the baby, I took the same vest, threw it a 40-pound kettlebell, and did the exact same walk, and I was absolutely destroyed. Keep in mind, this was June in San Antonio. It felt like I finished a max effort deadlift session. All of this came around when I'm trying to lose the last 5 or 10 pounds going into the first strongman show I've done in about 2 years. It's hard enough to get away for one workout during the day, let alone multiple when I'm trying to prep for a contest. So the fact that this checks so many boxes and I can do it with my wife and son really makes it my preferred way of doing things now. It's more fun, it's more enjoyable. It objectively burns more calories, and this sounds a bit weird, but it's actually more purposeful. There's something about having weight on you that you're physically carrying, like you are in fact carrying gear, supplies, pieces of a dead animal. Maybe that has something to do with humans' unique history of survival.
And we have all these adaptations that make us good at running long distances slowly in the heat, and we would use that to hunt. And so we would chase animals down until they essentially toppled over from heat exhaustion. This leads to the second thing that we're good at, which is we would then have to carry that animal back to camp. And we also have adaptations that make us really good at carrying. And we are, in fact, the only animal that can carry. You know, arguably, we carried a lot more as early humans than we would have run.
So I've made other content about my dietary approach. You can check that out. And paired with this, I'm really excited to lose that last 10 or 12 pounds. Maybe get rid of the last bit of that jiggly hip bullshit. And who knows, maybe I'll actually fill out my weight class and win something. But more than anything, I'm happy about this habit I picked up with my family that is one more tool to help combat the isolation and sedation that so easily creeps its way into your day-to-day. There's a lot of options for using a weighted vest. I'm using a weighted baby carrier. If you have a baby, that's great. But like I said, it fits plates and kettlebells pretty well. So I'll leave a link for that below. I wish I had experience to give you guys with like the Go Ruck packs or anything like that. It looks like there's a lot of specialized backpacks that have plates that distribute the weight a little bit higher, which looks nice, but it's also really expensive. I'm not quite sure if there's benefit to loading up a heavier absolute load on your back or keeping something that disadvantages you in the front. It's a little bit lighter, but damn, do you get that burn right in the middle of your back. I am planning on getting a rucksack and experimenting with different ways of loading up these walks. But for now, as my son grows every day, I just feel like Milo of Cretonia, so I'm just gonna go with it. This video is of course brought to you by Base Strength AI. You might relate to being confused or frustrated from running complex programs. We created a personalized app that gives moment-by-moment instruction to your program based on your immediate performance. When you use Base Strength AI, you can be confident that you're having the most personalized training experience available beyond what even an online coach could do for you. And the result is the peace of mind in knowing that every set and rep you do is taking you one step closer to your goals. It's my programming, but it's your program. To get Base Strength AI, click the link below.